Okay, welcome to the first Typical Boro Podcast, everybody. Thanks for joining. We are on the Red Radio now every Tuesday. Before I start and introduce my team, can I just ask you all please to subscribe on our YouTube channel, follow us on X, follow us on Facebook, leave comments. If you're listening via Spotify or any listening devices, give us a 5-star rating, please. That would be great. You can find all the links to what I've just mentioned there on our X feed at Typical Boro Pod. Before I introduce the team, I would like to mention our sponsors, Midas Cladding of Middlesbrough. They're going to have a prize draw every month. Starting today, we're going to give away a prize of a Middlesbrough home shirt. I shall introduce the winner later on in the podcast, so please keep listening. And every month, there'll be new prizes for Middlesbrough supporters to win. Right, enough about that. Let's start the podcast and introduce my team. First, I'd like to introduce John Cutler, my ex-sparring partner from a previous podcast. Are you okay, John?
I'm all good, yeah. Are you all right?
I'm good. Yeah, good. Great to get started.
It is indeed.
Been a long time coming. And secondly, I'd like to introduce the legend that is Graham Bandy. How are you, Graham? Are you all right?
Thank you very much. Yeah. Nice introduction.
Hold on a minute.
Thank you very much.
I get sparring partner and he gets legend. I don't know about that, like.
He's used the term loosely, John. Don't worry, mate.
Well, that's it, you know. But yeah, please are on board. Should be fun. Right, let's get into the fun side of it, right? Before we start talking about the derby game against Sunderland, which obviously we're going to get into, because it's the first podcast of the season, I'd like to see your thoughts on the season so far. We're 6 games in. We've obviously had a big summer window where we've brought 8 players in. Edmondson, Dokes come in, Borges, Conway, Hamilton, Morris, Bergzog, Aylan. On paper, good business at the start of the season by Kieran Scott, back in Michael Carrick. So we're 6 games in, guys. We've won 2, we've drew 2, we've lost 2. Been a busy window. Showed a bit of ambition off the pitch, but not going so well on the pitch at the moment. I'll come to you first, John Cutler. What's your thoughts on the start of the season, both on and off the pitch at the moment where we are?
Yeah, I think start of the season everyone was excited with the players we brought in. I think a few of them have done all right. A few have left a little bit to be desired, but it's early days. I don't want to write people off this early in the season. I think we're about 7 points better off at this stage than we were last season, but I expected us to start off a little bit better, to be honest. We had a lot of the ball, missing some good chances. I mean, they're going into all this XG stuff. I don't take that with a pinch of salt, mate, like, to be honest. But we're missing good chances. We'll get into it later. Conway's chance yesterday, if he puts that away, it's a completely different game. And I think we're just making our own downfall, really, by not taking good chances. And we're getting punished for it.
Yeah. Bandy, what's your thoughts on the start of the season, both on and off the pitch?
I'll mention the word chances first, because I think John's spot on there. If we do take chances in key moments in games, then I think we'd have a different outlook. But at the moment, I think we're a little bit off the pace. We're playing too lethargically. We're too slow from the build-up from the back, going through midfield. There's no dynamic up front yet. I don't think he's found that formula in the final third. Once that clicks, then I think we'll see a different Middlesbrough. I'm not too alarmed, because I do believe it will click. Carrick's proven in the past that he can turn around, bad runs of form. I'd say it's a mixed bag, so there's no concern at the moment, but I'd just love us to sort of ramp the tempo up a little bit and impose ourselves on teams a bit more, because yesterday was way below what we should be achieving there. Sunderland they allowed us the ball. They sat off us, they let us attack us, and then we sort of played into their hands a bit. I think I mentioned something on Twitter that they give us the freedom of the city, really, but we seem to have lost the keys. We just couldn't unlock them, and it was so frustrating. And you knew the minute they broke or they got a set play, they would nick a goal. It's happened too many times, Preston pinched one on the counter attack, and Derby got a scruffy goal from a mistake. So once we can stop eradicating nonsense like that, then I do believe we'll start putting teams to bed. So I'm not too concerned just yet, but we shouldn't be too silent on it, though. We've got to be quite vocal and just say, look, it's not good enough at the moment. So I'm a little bit underwhelmed. I expected us to be out the traps quick and pushing top two. You know, there's West Brom at the top of the league now, and they've got double the points total that we have. Already, that's a massive mountain to try and claw back if we've got aspirations to get promotion. And I firmly believe we're capable of doing that. I'm not too interested in talk of playoffs because we know what happens when we go down that route. We generally bottle it, to be honest.
Yeah, I agree. I think we should be aiming high this season. I had big expectations with the players that have joined the football club, and it's been disappointing. Yes, like Cuts has said, we're 7 points better off than last season. However, I was just looking at a stat as I normally do, and if you think about it, last season after the first 7 games, we had them 2 points, which was disappointing. We then went on a great run on week 8, 9, 10, 11, 12 and 13 and won all those games in a row and got 18 points from 18 points out of 18. So I've looked at Middlesbrough's games from 8 to 13 coming up, where we've got West Brom away, Watford away, Bristol City at home, Sheffield United at home, Norwich City away and Coventry at home. I don't see us getting 18 points from 18 out of them 6 games. So are we really going to be any further forward than we were last season when you get to about 12 or 13 games of the season, which if we're not, I think it's a really disappointing start. It's been a frustrating start, I think, guys. Performance-wise, there's been some good things on the pitch individually, but I don't think we've put a 90-minute performance together really yet. We've had a good half hour here, a good half hour there, a decent first half or a decent second half, but we're not firing on all cylinders. I thought this did you watch the boxing last night by any chance?
Didn't see it.
No, I didn't see it.
No,
I've only
right.
seen
Well,
reels on Twitter.
Well, he has one for Cuts anyway. Our Middlesbrough, the championship version of Anthony Joshua. What I mean by that is aesthetically pleasing to look at. We'll have great stats on paper, but when we get punched in the mouth, we'll go to pieces. What do you think, Cuts?
Quite possibly, to be fair. I mean, the frustrating thing for me is I love Carrick's style of football, but 1-0 down for what for me is my fiercest rival, biggest game of the season, home and away. And with 20 minutes to go, we didn't seem to up the tempo. We weren't whacking balls into the box. Their keeper could have laid down in that box for the whole second half. And for me, that's not good enough. I just wonder what his plan B is, because if it's not working for 75 minutes at Sunderland and you're not going to change it, when are you ever going to change it? I know you've got to have confidence in the style of football you're trying to play and in the players, but for me, if it's not working for 75 minutes, shot the ball in the box and let's see what happens. Like Cloughie would have said when he shot it in the mixer.
Yeah.
Well,
The last 15 minutes...
There was nothing, was there? I made a few notes yesterday while I was watching the game, and on 85 minutes, Aylin's got the ball wide right, probably 25, 30 yards from goal, and he has got a really good delivery. He was waiting for movement from Bergsorg, and he was just rooted to his man. He never spun, he never come short. He was just waiting for that ball to be slugged in, and there was nothing there. There was just no movement. It was almost like an acceptance, like, oh well, you know, bad day at the office. We've lost this. There was no intensity, no purpose to try and get that game back and wrestle it from Sunderland. And like I mentioned before, I think
last season, time and time again, last season, guys, I said the definition of madness is continuing to do the same thing over and over again and expecting a different result. And that's what Middlesbrough do. So now we've sort of got into it a little bit. Let's start going back through yesterday, shall we? And I'll start with you, Graham. Obviously, devastating defeat forward against our local rivals. 1-0, Chris Rigg, 24th minute goal was the difference between the two sides in what I thought was a really, really poor game, quality-wise. But I'll start with you, Graham, regarding this. First of all, what was your thoughts on the starting 11 that started the game, and also your thoughts on the first half performance?
I I was relatively pleased with the starting 11 because I believed that team was capable of going there and getting a result. However, as the game panned out, it was obvious really after the first 5-10 minutes that it wasn't working. We had an opportunity where we broke on the right hand side with Jones. He's got to whip that ball in early. The whole move was just broke down at that point, and you're thinking that's not good enough. We could have caught them out there. And as the half grew on, we just got more and more sort of frustrated, really, and played into their hands. They sat deep. Like I said before, they allowed us the ball, but we get to a certain point in the pitch in the final third, and it's going sideways all the time. There's just no movement. Latte, to me, looks like a bit of a problem now after that incident with the last day of the transfer window. I don't see that dynamic working now up front, out for Tommy Conway to play as a striker, as a sole striker. He's a live wire. He's got pace. He plays on the last man. He can spin. He can turn. He can get behind players. Having him in front of a striker who realistically doesn't look as interested as he was the back end of last season is a big problem. I think we need to sort of nip that in the bud quickly, because having Conway as the 10 is then detrimental to Azaz, who is arguably the most productive player in the league. Looking at his stats that started the season, like John said, we can go on all about the XG all day long, which I personally think it's a nonsense. However, he is involved every single game. He's had the most shots. He's capable of putting one in the top corner from 20 yards. He's a great player, but now he's being accommodated on the left-hand side. It's not working. And then for some reason we keep persisting with Jones, who, I'm not going to get on his case, but he's short of confidence. It's obvious. He's not doing the things that he should be doing. And I noticed Doak, when he came on, his first touch was to play 1-2 and get behind the fullback. And we got a chance straight from that, albeit it was cleared for a corner. But that propensity to attack quickly and go at your man can make all the difference. So I just don't think the dynamic at the moment up front is working. Midfield-wise, you're looking at Morris, who I think is an absolute superstar. I think he's great. He just had a little bit too much to do yesterday because he was trying to sort of pull the strings. Probably needs a little bit more experience alongside him, but you've got to give Hackney a run because potentially he's a great player. He's had a okay start to the season. However, he was way off the mark yesterday. In my opinion, he was poor. He broke through the lines quickly, found space, popped it off, little 1-2s, got free. And then when he got into a certain area of the pitch, he just didn't know whether to shoot, pass. Every pass was overhit, going out to play, and he became the epitome of frustration for me. Defensively, I thought we were pretty solid, to be fair. To go to Sunderland and hand over maybe one or two chances, albeit they took one of them through. It was a poor early touch, lost the ball. The guy was allowed to run 30, 40 yards across the pitch. Roberts managed to get hold of it, and then he to be fair, he tore Neto Borges to shreds all game, really.
A tough afternoon, didn't he?
He had a really tough afternoon. I mean, he broke forward, which is his game, but I think we've got that problem again where we've now got a left-back who can't defend but likes to go forward. We saw the same with Engel. I noticed Borges, when we kicked off, he's playing 10, 15 yards higher up. So he's sort of trying to play the Ryan Giles role, which suited us fine when we had Ryan Giles, but Neto Borges is no Ryan Giles yet. He may turn into be a really good player. You've got to back him and encourage him to get forward, but we did get caught out there numerous times. And the guy on the right-hand side for Sunderland, Lundvall, he gave Ayling a tough afternoon. However, we did have the option on that side for Edmondson to sort of come in and cover. So we weren't as badly damaged on the left-hand side as we were on the right, with Roberts isolating Borges, which I thought was the key statistic in the game, really. They clearly targeted our weakest area, and it paid off for them. So we've got to nip that in the bud quickly and get some cover across from them, because I think at times Clark had too much to do. But overall, defensively, I'm not too concerned. It's what's happening at the other end, which is damaging me at the moment. It's so frustrating. We're saying the same word after every game. Frustrating, missing chances. Frustrating.
Was the first half fine margins cuts? Because if you look at it from Michael Carrick's point of view, you look at the Conway chance with the header. and also the tackle by Trey Hume on Latte Lat, which could have been a red card. Were those match defining moments, John?
Well, I think they are match defining moments, but it's 2 moments that happened in the whole 90 minutes. There's plenty of things we could, and in my opinion, should have done to change things about and grab a goal maybe. And I mean, you can have the ball all day long, but it's about scoring goals. If you don't score goals, you don't win. Great chance Conway, he should have buried it, no doubt about it. Was it a red card? Probably was a red card, but if it had happened to us, we would have had no complaints about getting a yellow. So we talk about things like that all day long. It's what happened in the 90 minutes. What we did with the football that concerns me more, or what we didn't do with the football. You just mentioned the starting line up there. For me, I don't know how fit McGree is. He was on the bench yesterday, but he's got to start for me. Like if he doesn't start in the next week against Stoke, isn't it next week? If he doesn't start, there's something wrong for me. Like if he's fit enough to be on the bench, he should be starting, and he'll massively improve our team. We know what a quality player he is at this level. Like I say, for me, he needs to be starting. I was really impressed with Doak when he came on. He was really direct. We'll probably do a man the match later, but for me, he was the brightest spark going forward, and he was only on the pitch for a quarter of an hour, 20 minutes.
I agree there, John. If you look at the substitution when Hamilton come on, we did have the option to bring McGree on, and if Hamilton's getting ahead of McGree, then there's something not right there. If I'm being brutally honest, it's happened for too long. I don't know what's going on with McGree at the moment. If he's fit enough to be on the bench, then he's fit enough to come on, surely.
Yeah, I totally agree. What do you think about Bandy's comments, John, about Tommy Conway? Because I'd wrote down in my notes that I'm starting to think Tommy Conway, who I think is a great signing, by the way, and is going to prove to be a really good footballer for Middlesbrough as we move forward. But unfortunately, he's become the problem, because I think if we hadn't signed Tommy Conway, we would probably be in the first 6 games maybe a few points better off, because we would have had more balance to the side. I think because Conway has come in and done well, we've sort of moved Azaz from the number 10 to the left-hand side, which doesn't really suit him. Latte Lat isn't really playing with what I would say is a proper number 10 in Conway. He's almost playing as with another striker just behind him, which I think's. I know we're looking at Latte Lat. Does he want to leave? Does he not want to leave? Has his mind been switched up with Ipswich's link? But I think it's affected the service that Latte Lat's used to from behind. And I would imagine if Conway hadn't signed, would be playing with Azaz as the 10, and would probably have Bergzog on the left maybe at the minute, and obviously Jones on the right. Has Conway, do you think, because he's started so well, it's almost like we've got to find a place for him in the team moving forward, like to the Stoke game? Is it almost now where we need to be picking Latte Lat or Conway up front and reverting back to a natural 3 behind, just to get a bit more balance, and having maybe a big hitter in Latte Lat or Conway to come on and change the game?
Yeah, quite possibly, but you've talked about last season, you did really well, but it's about what you did for me lately. And if you're looking at the two of them, Conway, since he came here, has performed better than Lath. So although it might be harsh to maybe drop Lath, if it's one or the other for next week, I've always said if you're doing well in the shirt, you deserve to start. So I think Conway's been better the last few weeks, so I'd possibly start Conway over Lath against Stoke.
That's what
like
you.
Yeah,
that's what I'd do, John. You know, if you're on about McGree, if you've got McGree, Bandy, if you've got McGree back fit for next week against Stoke, would Middlesbrough look a better outfit with McGree and say Doak and Azaz in the 10 and Conway up front? Would that be better balance?
100%. You've just named the front 4 there. It to me, be honest, it picks itself. I'm not sure why Carrick's tinkering around with these formations. It's a little bit arrogant, I think, in certain ways, because he's brought Tommy Conway in as a striker, but he's decided that he's going to turn him into somebody else. I mean, you saw what Conway could do against Preston. It was a beautiful little. It was a well-worked move, that, and it was something I picked up on an interview with Ayling. That was actually planned for Ayling to sort of come inside, fade to come inside, and then play down the line into the channel, because Preston were pushing on, you see, so we could get behind them. That's maybe another way of sort of trying to kill teams off, instead of trying to do this side side-to-side passing in front of sometimes a back 6, back 7. Why not sometimes go long? Let teams come at us and then hit them over the top, because we do have players with pace. And Conway is absolutely rapid. So that goal he scored against Preston, for me, that's his game. So we need to try and utilise that as best we can. And if I was a manager, I'd be saying, look, son, what do you do best? Where do you want the ball? Do you want it on your left side? Do you want it on your right? Do you want it 10 yards in front of you so you can run onto it? Do you want it with your back to goal? I'm not sure there's too much of a communication issue between manager and players at the moment. Carrick sort of thinks that players can play all these different roles when, in fact, it's common sense to play a player in his rightful position, in his best position. So you look at Doak, he's a natural right winger now. He can go outside and he can come inside. The left-hand side's always been a bit of an issue. I would play Riley there because he's technically proficient. He can use both feet. He could come in on his right. He could link up. He could play 1-2 with Conway or that or Azaz. They've both got the intelligence to play like that. I've said in times past that I like Riley on the right, if I'm honest, because he can sort of ghost in because he's got a wonderful left foot really. And he's chipped in with a few great goals off that left foot coming in off the right. But if we brought Doak in from Liverpool, he's not coming to sit on the bench for 30 games. He's got to be playing. I'm hopeful that would be put in some sort of contract as well. He's got to play, a quarter of games because there's no point in signing him otherwise. Because at the moment, I don't want to get on Jones's case, but we're looking at a player there who's not really willing to take his man on. He's happy just to come inside, give it safe, and at times I think he goes hiding a little bit. And I think we've got a better replacement at the moment. So, like you said, Dicko, I would go, if really is fit, then he's got to start. So it's a nonsense that he's just sat on the bench, because the longer he's sat on the bench, the quicker he wants to be out of this place. So I would be playing him on the left. I'd play Zaz back in his rightful position as the 10. I'd put Lath on the bench, just to teach him a bit of a lesson as well. And I'd play Conway up front, and then Doak on the right. And I think that should pick itself for the next 4 or 5 games. If it doesn't work in that period, persist with it, because they are the best players in their positions that we've got. I think Hamilton, Bergzorg, they're fringe for me. Not seeing anything in Hamilton yet. He looks quite bright, but he's probably the safest winger that we've got at the club, because he doesn't really look like he wants to take his man on as well. It's a little bit like Jones. There's a bit of a fear of giving the ball away, and I don't think we should be going down that route. We should be encouraging players to take defenders on. I think if we do ramp that tempo up in the final third and be a bit braver, there was no propensity yesterday to push on, and no one sort of grabbed the game by the scruff of the neck and ran at them. If we go back, when was it, 89? Pollard, 0-0 at Roker Park. He just thought, right, I'm having this. And he just bulldozed his way through the defence. I was there, and he managed to sort of scramble it over the line. But there was nobody in that team yesterday that was willing to try and do that. Morris is probably
do we have enough leaders, Graham? Because I look at the Middlesbrough side, and I think when the going gets tough, we tend to disappear a little bit. There's too many games this season where we don't seem to have, I don't know, that driving force to make draws into wins or defeats into draws. We don't seem to have. I mean, when it gets to the last 20 minutes, I still see people passing the ball around the backwards and forwards in midfield. When it gets to the last 20 minutes of a derby game against Sunderland and you're 1-0 down and you've got all the ball, why want players taking chances, driving into the box, putting crosses in, getting bodies into the box? I don't see that. But
I think as Morris grows into the season, I mean, the potential on him is a top 6 Premier League player for me. I think he's fantastic. His range of passing is brilliant. He's making himself available. He wants the ball all the time. He looks like the sort of guy that would go and sulk at home if he hasn't touched the ball 100 times. He's that sort of player. He's busy. He wants to run the team. But yesterday, I just think he had too much to do. Hackney was quite wasteful, and he was having to drop even deeper. So he never got forward. Ayling as captain, great, happy with that. He is a natural leader, but I don't think he's as vocal as he could be. I think we're missing Howson, purely for that reason, vocality. He obviously can't get around the pitch as quick as he could do. But We did miss him yesterday.
He would have
I'm not
been on
sure
my
he
pitch
would have.
yesterday if he was fit, Graham. 100%.
I'm-
He would have. Hackney would have got
Yeah.
the hook very early doors yesterday if I missed the house.
I
in my
totally
opinion.
agree. I'm not sure he would have stood for that passive second half performance either. He definitely
No.
would have dished out a few, you know whats. So
I think
yeah,
one of the
Sorry,
biggest
go-
leaders we've got. One of the biggest leaders we've got. He hasn't played for us for what must be coming up for 12 months now. In Darragh Lenihan and Vandenberg, although he's only young, he talks. He's quite a good talker on the pitch as well. So they're other than Ayling, I think House and Moore leads by example. But I think Lenihan and Vandenberg are massive misses for, like you say, a bit of a lead bit of thing, grabbing people by the scruff of the neck and saying, "Come on, let's pull ourselves together." Like I don't see it on the pitch really.
I don't think we should.
Is it fair to say,
just-
John, that sorry, Graham, I was just going to ask John on the substitution situation on Saturday. Well, obviously we put Doak and Hamilton on for Jones and Azaz on 62 minutes, and then Bergzog come on 74 for Latty-Alat. Is it fair to say Michael Carrick got the substitutions wrong?
I don't know. I don't personally. I don't think Azaz did much yesterday. I like him. I like him as a player. So I didn't really have a problem with the substitutions and the players that came off. Hamilton, like Graham said, I haven't seen anything from him yet. It's early days. He's only had bit parts really to play, but I don't know. I didn't really have a problem with the substitutions yesterday and the timings of them. So I can't criticise him for that.
Bandy?
Don't want to disclude Clark. I think he deserves a mention. He leads by example, but he's not as vocal as he could be. He just leads by being a good defender. So I think he's one that players can sort of look up to and set their standards by.
I was personally disappointed with the substitutions, I've got to be honest, just for my opinion on it. I was disappointed to see Hamilton come on the pitch, to be honest, with the options we had on the bench, in McGree and coming on before Bergzog as well. I haven't seen anything from the lad. I know he's only young. Apparently he's a little bit behind in his fitness. He hasn't had a lot of first team football. But he's not the player I thought we were signing. He doesn't seem particularly quick. He doesn't seem to want to go past people. He seems to play safe. Now, whether that's the Man City way, where they like to keep the ball and come back inside and play sideways and back to the full back and what have you, I don't know. And I'm sure he's going to be a hell of a lot better moving forward. But at the moment, he doesn't look ready to me. He doesn't look at the required level to be in the top 6 championship side. So I was a little bit disappointed with that. 15 minutes to go, although he wasn't having a great game, taking off Latty-Alat. I would rather you keep your marksman on the pitch to get on the end of something. There was a chance, funny enough, late in the game. I don't know if you can remember it. The ball was played through to Bergzog, and he wasn't quite quick enough to get in front of the centre back, and they cleaned it up. And I was just thinking, if let Latty-Alat stay on, he would have been onto that. So I was a bit disappointed in his substitution. One thing he done good yesterday, he put them on a bit earlier. He tends to leave his substitutions a bit late, as Carrick. So I was pleased to see him switch it up on 62 minutes rather than 82 minutes. But I thought he still managed to get it wrong. I thought Ayling had a poor afternoon, even though he's really turned me around. I think he's been a great sign, but I thought he was having a difficult day against Mundell. Is it called Mundell?
Mundell, yeah.
Mundell, yeah. I would have liked to have seen my old pal Dijksteel come on. I think he's had a decent season this season, Dijksteel, when he's played. He's had some good performances. He's linked up quite well with Jones, and just for his extra pace, I would have maybe matched him up second half, because I thought Ayling was having not very often he does it, but he's having a bit of a poor afternoon defensively, and I thought he was lucky to get away with not giving away a penalty right in half time as well.
I thought that was a penalty, if I'm honest.
Yeah.
I think we got away with that one. And I did, going back to the contestable red, where Laff was wiped out. That was a blatant red. But John said it though. We're talking about, one instance in a 95-minute game, and you can't use that as an excuse. And I noticed Carrick went straight in on that on his interview, almost masquerading what was, effectively a poor performance. He said we had more shots, and I didn't see that. And he's sort of now saying that teams are setting up to combat the way we play, which again, I still think that's a little bit arrogant. Teams are setting up in that particular way because that's the way they know how to beat us. And you can't be sort of promoting us as the Championship Manchester City with all this possession. Again, John said, all this possession meaning now if you don't stick the ball in the back of the net. We've got to start doing that. And I think we need to mix it up sometimes and go a little bit long. Not saying Wimbledon 1988, but just hit that ball over the top and get runners going and get teams turn quicker. Well,
that's it. With the greatest of respect to Michael Carrick, he knows far more about football than I do. But surely that's his job. If teams are going to sit back, it's his job to try and find a way around it. We saw it happening last season. It's been going on for a while now, and I'm watching the games, and I don't see us doing anything different when teams are doing that for 70 minutes. And if he's expecting it, we've got to work harder on that training pitch or come up with another plan that's going to force them either to come out or for us to have a plan B where we change our tactics, which might shock them a little bit. So that's his job.
Yeah, I totally agree. That's my thought process as well, is we haven't got a plan B. When it's not working, we don't switch it in terms of pass through the middle, trying to walk the ball in the net. We've got the players now to have a plan B and say, listen, get wide, get some chalk on your boots to the wide men. We've got some pace. Get down the line, get some balls in the box. Or like Graham was saying, try a few balls over the top, because with Conway and Latty for the first time in a while, we've got two strikers that are generally got pace and quick and have nuisance value. Just switch it up. And even Bergzog, he's got a bit of a physical presence. You can throw him up there, get some crosses in the box, get on the end of things. It sounds like we're promoting dinosaur football, but we're really not. It's okay sometimes to change the way you play. And he keeps coming out, like you say, after games, saying, they're playing that way because of us. Like it's almost like a respect thing to us that we should be, oh wow, look at it, they've changed the way they play. No, Michael, it's not that way at all. They know if they play that way, you haven't got a plan B, and if they score first, we're going to struggle to get anything from the game. Yeah. I mean, you come out yesterday after the game, and he said he thought we were the better team. Now, we've had 93 minutes in a derby game, and we've had one shot on target in 93 minutes, and he thinks we're the better team. Now, I'll come in with another stat for you, right? Sunderland starting 11 yesterday, 4.5 million it cost. Tommy Conway cost 4.5 million. So we've had one shot on target. He thinks we're the better team. I don't know who he's trying to kid on, but he ain't kidding me on. That's not good enough. We need to be targeting, like you have both said at the start of this podcast, looking towards the top two, not scraping into the playoffs and hovering around 7, 8, 9 and see if we can just get in like we did last season and everybody's going to be elated with that. I'll be really disappointed with that. I want to see us on the coattails of the top two come Christmas time. And at the minute, we're giving away too many points. We're too easy to play against. We're a soft touch. And something's got to change somewhere, starting basically on Saturday against Stoke City, which I'll ask you, Cuts, if we lose to Stoke City, is Michael Carrick under a bit of pressure?
It might be from certain parts of the fan base, but he won't be from me. It's still early days. I know we've got a lot catching up, and we've seen last season how hard it is to do that. But I look around and think to myself, let's say if after full time against Stoke and we've been beaten, if it's 5-0 like the League Cup game, fair enough. But you know what I mean? If we get beat, if we do get beat, I look around and I think to myself, who would you like to come in to replace Michael Carrick? And I look around and I don't see many people that are not in work at the moment, and people at high clubs aren't going to come here. So for me, at the moment, it's a no. I'm not one for chopping and changing managers all the time. I think we've done it too much in recent years. I like a bit of stability. I don't think it works for other clubs either, that you see chopping and changing managers left, right and centre. So for me, I think you give Michael till at least Christmas. And if we're, with this squad, let's be honest, I think even Don Goodman said yesterday he expected us to be in and around the top two. All the fan base expects us to be in and around the top two. I'm sure Steve Gibson expects this squad to be in around the top two, and I'm sure Michael Carrick does. So if we're nowhere near the top 6, for example, at Christmas, then you do have to ask serious questions, and I wouldn't be surprised to see a change, but certainly not this early in the season for me.
Bandy?
John summed it up beautifully there. If we're not in and around that top two, that maybe top six, then around Christmas time, then I think Carrick would question himself. So I don't think the pressure would necessarily be on him because he would know that it's not working and this fit isn't for him. But yeah, absolutely backing him all the way. You know, I love the way he sets the team up. We do try and play the ball on the floor. We're trying to play through the thirds. I was going to say it's quick tempo, but it's not at the moment. It's too methodical. It's too laboured. It's too pedestrian. It just needs to be a little bit more quicker. And I think we would see the rewards. But I think it is a work in progress still because we have brought in a lot of players. We're trying to fit them into a system. We don't have the luxury of Chuba Akpom anymore, which I think, going back to Conway, he's probably asking him to do that sort of role at the moment and leave Latte Lap up front. But no, I just think there's a bit of fine-tuning to be done. But I just want to see a little bit more hunger, a bit more desire and a propensity to get forward and attack teams more at pace rather than, you know, the laboured way of going side to side, waiting for them opportunities, which aren't going to come because teams are just sussing us out from minute one. I was a bit angered yesterday when Edmondson got on the ball and he stood with the ball at his feet and he waited 10-15 seconds for Sunderland to press. Sunderland just stood there and thinking, I ain't pressing. You're not laying any traps for us, mate. We're not stupid. You have the ball because we know you're not going to do anything with it.
It happened in the very first minute.
It's embarrassing.
The two centre halves had the ball for about 40 seconds and they just stood off, and that showed you everything you needed to know about their game plan.
They won't wait to try and play like that. We're not Barcelona. We're not Brazil 1970. We're Middlesbrough. You know, you've got to get the ball forward and get playing. Too much, honestly, faffing about. There was no urgency
there. It tells you
there.
everything about how easy we are to play against when teams can sit in against. When Regis Lebris, obviously the Sunderland manager, I was on a different podcast last week on the Big Red Pod on the Red Radio, and I was asked the question: do you think Sunderland will just come up with like they're doing all the home games and have a right go? And I was like, oh yeah, I do. I think that's the way Sunderland play. They will come up with. I think it'll be a real basketball game like when we played Leeds, and I think it might help Middlesbrough playing against a better side that'll come out in front of a big crowd in a derby game and have a go at it. And I couldn't have been more wrong. Sunderland obviously done the homework, rightly so, and just went, look, we're going to sit in, we'll hopefully nick a goal, and if we do, Middlesbrough have got a huge problem to break us down. And their game plan worked brilliantly, just like Derby County's did before that, and Portsmouth's did before that, and whoever else we played this season, and probably what Stoke will do this coming Saturday. Michael Carrick and his coaching staff have got a real problem to try and I don't think he knows his best 11, and B, he needs a plan B. And I've seen a few things on social media regarding Aaron Danks, his role at Middlesbrough now. He's left to go to Bayern Munich. He used to apparently have a lot to do with the front end of the pitch and the front four. Are we missing Aaron Danks, do you think? Or do you think it's a selection problem or a confidence problem? Bandy?
I don't think we're missing him. No, he doesn't make the decisions for players on the pitch, you know, in games. I just think we're making bad decisions in the final third, and we just don't have that incentive to get at teams. I don't think that's on Aaron Banks. He might have set a team up slightly different, but I don't think it would have a different result, if I'm honest. He's landed himself a plum job in the Bayern Munich, so good luck to him. And he was great while he was here, so thank him for his service. But no, we're not missing him, I don't think. No.
Cuts?
No.
Not for you? No. You
No.
happy with Michael Carrick's brother coming in?
Well, they mentioned him yesterday. It's not like they haven't just brought him in because he's brother. He's got his coaching badges. He's got a decent pedigree behind him. Danks was obviously a good coach, but I don't lay the blame for what's happening on the pitch of the fact that Danks has gone. Ultimately, it's Michael Carrick that decides to start a football. He knows how we play. For me, in and around the box, we looked sharp. We've always looked sharp under Carrick. Quick passes, trying to play people in just behind. I'm not seeing that at the moment. I didn't see it yesterday, and I was getting so frustrated. We're not moving the ball quick enough. how many goals did we score since Carrick's been here? Where at one time when it was like Dykesdale and whoever else was playing on the right hand side and playing little passes and through, and we're getting in behind their defenders. Crooksy, it's just not happening. And it doesn't even look like we're trying to do that at the moment. We're quite happy to go sideways, back, forward, back, sideways. I'm not seeing any attempted through balls to try and get in behind them. I don't know. I'm finding it very frustrating at the moment, to be honest.
We just don't have them passages of play we used to have. Going back to when Wilder was here, bizarrely, we had Dykesdale pushing on the right. We had Jones linking up. We had Crooks in behind. And that dynamic, that trio worked fantastic for us. We must have got 10, 12 goals that season just from that right-hand side. Once them little passages of play click, i.e. by playing Doak regularly, getting him to link up with Azaz, it'll happen. It will happen because, you know, players aren't stupid. We do have some technically proficient players, excellent players, but it's just finding that blend. And we seem to mix it up week on week. You never know who's going to play left side. You never know who's going to be the 10. You never know who's on the right. I just want us to see us put down a marker for 5 or 6 games with a settled front 3, 4, or forward 2, whatever you want to call it, and just have a go, and just get at teams, because behind the front group, I think midfield and defensively we're okay, we're all right. I don't see huge problems. We're not getting absolutely overrun like we were at the start of last season, where teams were just finding that space between the centre circle and the D, and just pinging in shots for fun. We've closed that gap up now, so we've addressed that. But it's just that final third, it's not clicking. But we do have players there that are capable, but he needs to find that formula, and quick. Otherwise, I think we'll be adrift quite comfortably. So
it's a great point. I think when we're at our best under Carrick, you could name the starting 11 every week. There was very few changes unless there was an injury or a suspension. The same team was playing all the time. And I think last season, obviously, we went away from that, unfortunately, because of an injury crisis, which was fair enough. That's not Carrick's doing at all. And this season, I was sort of hoping for a little bit more consistency with the new signings coming in, integrating with the players we've got. And now it hasn't happened again. And yes, we have had a couple of injuries this season, but we're chopping and changing all the time, even during games. Like you say, the front 4 seems to be revolving. And I think that's part of the problem. We're not getting relationships developing on the pitch because the personnel's changing. And I think until we do that, I think what Bandy's just said there, I would like to see for the next 4 or 5 games, barring injury, just for him to pick the same team for 4 or 5 games in a row, what he thinks personally is his best 11, and just stick with it for 4 or 5 games and see how we do.
Remember the bad spell we had last season, and then Josh came in, and we went on that run, didn't we? I think we won 7 out of 10 or something. Well, we had a really good run.
We won 6 in a row. 18 points out of 18, which is what's coming up this season for us now.
Exactly.
And we need to sort of repeat that, don't we? Yeah.
Yeah. At that stage, we didn't have any replacements. Barring that, I think at one stage we might have had to put a tea lady on. We just didn't have any players at all. So we knew what the team was because that's all we had. Whereas now he's got the luxury of just bringing a player in, get a bit of experience. You sit this one out. You need a rest. Players don't want to rest. Players want to play. So just get a settled team, and I think we'll see an upsurge in results because there's not too many problems, but we're just slipping into old habits, I think, and we need to nip that in the bud quickly. And I think we'll have a productive season.
We'll put a lid on Sunderland, and I'll end up by. Should we do a man of the match for Sunderland? Should we not? Go on, we'll do a man of the match. I'll start with you, Cuts. Who was your Middlesbrough player of the match against Sunderland?
I mentioned him earlier. I'm going to say Doak. I like how direct he was. He was trying to get in behind him, and I'm going to give it to him, although he wasn't on the pitch for that long.
Bandy?
I'm going to go Morris. I thought for an hour, he was solid, and then as the game was sort of creeping away from us, he faded a little bit. But I think that's probably down to the fact that he was probably annoyed because it wasn't happening for us. We were doing the same thing over and over again without trying to change things. Probably left with too much to do because Hackney, I think, every move we had, it sort of broke down at him, and then we were chasing back again. So Morris for me, just because he was available and kept going.
Yeah. I wasn't sure what to give a man the match, to be honest. I thought there was some poor displays. There was a lot of 6 out of 10s and 5 out of 10 displays. Probably agree with Cuts. I thought Doak made a little bit of an impact when he come on. He looked lively. Yeah, I wish he had come on earlier, to be honest. Conway worked hard, but it wasn't his day. You know, he had that chance early on with a header, and it comes off the crossbar if that goes in. But there wasn't many performances to be chuffed about, really, was there? So, tell you what, I'll give it to the travelling supporters for the man of the match, just for having to sit up in the gods and be taunted and put up with one shot on target 93 minutes. So I'll give it to the Boro away fans. I'll just before I forget, because I don't want to forget this, I've wrote them down somewhere. I done a draw earlier today for the Middlesbrough shirt, the home kit, for our first prize giveaway, and Chris Borough up the Borough has won the home shirt. So Chris, well done, you've won the home shirt. I'll be contacting you probably Monday to see what size shirt you want. Do you want a kid's shirt, or what size you want, or whatever, and we'll get that sent to you. Congratulations to Chris. Obviously we'll be doing another prize draw now, as we're going to do every month. So we're going to go into October. So we'll get our heads together, me, Bandy and Cuts, and we'll come up with another prize draw plan, and we'll announce that over the next week or so. So keep, as I keep saying, keep watching, keep subscribing, keep messaging, and whatever you've got to do to make this podcast a success, including ourselves, please do. It's very important. I know it sounds trivial and boring, keep going on about it, but unless we get people watching and listening and subscribing, we're not going to be here too long. So keep doing it. So we're moving on into the Stoke City game. Right, guys, Stoke City, new manager, Stephen Schumacher, sacked after thumping Middlesbrough 5-0 in the League Cup. He gets sacked. Narcis Pelash, Spanish coach from Norwich City.
What was his name again?
Apparently it's Narcis Pelash. That's the Geordie version anyway.
Expertly done.
Yeah.
Done Dicko.
Spanish from Norwich City's coaching staff. He's come in and taken over from Schumacher. They're sitting 17th. They've just been beaten off Hull, wasn't it? 3-1 on Friday night. 3-1 off Hull.
3-1.
Yeah, 3-1 off Hull on Friday night. They've played they played 6, won 2 and lost 4. Not a great start, the same as us. What we're thinking moving into Saturday's game? How much is it a must win 3 points on Middlesbrough, or what we're thinking? Is it a must win? Cuts. I'll go Cuts first. Come to you, John.
It's not a must win for where we're going to finish it the season, but I think it's vital that we do win, because we need to start going on a run for where we think we should be and where we want to be. So it's a really, really big game for me. For a while now, we haven't really performed at all. We need to get it back to a fortress and get the fans off the seats, but that's got to happen from the players and the management as much as us backing the players. I think it's a really big game, and it's massive that we get 3 points so we can hopefully go on a run to push us up the table where we think we all should be.
Bandy?
Yeah, again, John's touched on it well there. It's not vital. It's not a make or break game, but it's a game we need to win, and we need to win comfortably, really, just to settle the nerves a bit, so the natives don't get too restless. Because it's a while since we've thumped a team and played a team off the pitch. When we do get a win, it's all generally with a fortuitous goal or a lucky break. We've not really set the heather alight in terms of battering a team and putting them to the sword. That would be nice, but a win will be more welcome. I do think we will win. I think we'll play the same way, but we've just got to be careful of this dreaded new manager bounce, which has haunted us for ever and ever. But I do think we have far better players than them, and they need to turn on the style and get a convincing win. It'd be a totally different game to the cup game. So I wouldn't touch on that one at all. I think that was just a one-off game between two reserve sides, and whoever wanted to win the most that night won the game. We capitulated that game anyway, so there'll be no parallels with that one. I'm pretty certain.
Well, I hope you're right, because I'm still a bit nervous going into Saturday. I think it's going to be one of those days at the Riverside where I think the players on the pitch are going to have to lift the fans in the stand, because it's been a bit of a, as we've touched on, disappointing start. And after losing the derby game against Sunderland, I don't think it's going to be a bouncing Riverside Stadium on Saturday. And I think it's one of them games where the team's going to have to be brave. They're going to have to get after Stoke. We're going to have to score the first goal and take the game to them and get the fans lifted. If Stoke score first, wow, I don't know where we'll go from there if Stoke score first. But I think it's a big game for Michael Carrick. It's a big game for Middlesbrough, because if we can win on Saturday, it probably pushes we in the top 8, top 9 of the league. You sharp forget the Sunderland game, don't you? If you win, if you lose to Stoke and you drop into the bottom 6, pressure comes, and then we've got West Bromwich Albion coming up top of the league possibly on the Tuesday night, and I think the pressure starts to mount, and I think it's patronising when you hear so-called experts on the radio and managers coming out with look, it's only 6 games in, it's only 7 games in, it's only 8 games in. I find that quite patronising as a supporter. You've got every right to be feeling the way we do. You've got every right to feel nervous. You've got every right to feel like this could go badly wrong. I got a bit of stick last season when we didn't win for the first 7 games, and I said it would cost us, and it did. Later down the line, but I knew after 7-8 games, I knew we were in big trouble to make the top 6, and I felt that way for a reason, and I'm starting to feel that way now. And I think that the Stoke game, for that reason's a huge game for Middlesbrough, even though it's only 7 games in. I think it is a must-win, and that's going to be the difference maker in a lot of supporters' minds of how this season could go. We need to do what we've done last season, like Bandy said. Can we go and win 4 or 5 off the belt? Can we get a bit of consistency? Can we pick the same team for 4 or 5 games in a row? So I think there's quite a bit on it, actually, and I think if anybody's playing it down, I think you're kidding yourself on. I think it's a huge game. So what do we think? I'll come to you, Cuts, for your prediction for Stoke City. How do you think it's going to go at the Riverside? And what team, actually, I'll come with that. What team would you start with on Saturday?
I think we've all agreed on the front four. Conway starts for me. Azaz, Riley McGree, and I'd start Doak as well. So that'd be my front 4. I'd keep Morris and Hackney in the midfield. I don't know about Vandenberg, how far away he is, but obviously if Vandenberg's fit, he's going to come in for Edmondson. Other than that, I'm quite happy with the team. I don't think we've got many options outside of that. I think we'll win, but I think it'll be nervy. I think it'll be a 1-0.
Bandy, what are you thinking?
And John, spot on. If Vandenberg's fit, he'll come into play. We've got to play that front 3 plus the striker in Conway. I'd go with Hackney again, because obviously he is quality. He did have a poor game at Sunderland, but he's class.
What if Howson's fit? Have I put that one in the mix for you? What if Johnny Howson's back?
That's a good call, but generally if a player's had a long-term injury, fit to play, he generally comes on and then he starts the game after. So I wouldn't start Howson in a game like that. I'd go with the same team. Obviously Vandenberg comes in for Edmondson, I would say, because Clark's an ever-present now. He's cemented his place in that team all season, barring injury. And I would go a nervy 2-1. We seem to concede ridiculous goals, and we haven't to score 2 to win a game now. But I do think it might click if he plays that front 4. But he probably won't. But we've just got to get a win by hook or by crook. If it's a scruffy 2-1, I'll take that, and that's my Saturday night made.
Yeah. What do we know? What do we know? Yeah. Well, I have to say, guys, I do agree with everything you have said there. I'd be more than happy to go with the sides that you've named there. I would have Vandenberg back in. I'd like to think that Howson's back in the squad just for his presence, even if it's on the bench, and leadership qualities, and hopefully he can get 10-15 minutes. Would I start Latte ahead of Conway? I don't know. That's the one. I wouldn't be too concerned either way. I think Latte Lat will be better going back to the old system with Azaz behind. So I wouldn't be upset if he started Latte Lat and Azaz behind, and Conway was the impact substitute. But I also wouldn't be bothered the other way if he started Conway up top, because out the two he has been the one that's been more in form, I suppose. So he probably deserves the shirt, as Cuts always keeps telling us. If you deserve the shirt, you keep the shirt. So I think that's
he's earned his starts. Honestly, what's he done wrong? Apart from score a few goals.
Okay, look at I surrender. Conway starts. That's it.
The whole Latte situation stinks the place out for me. There's something detrimental towards the rest. Yeah, I just don't like it.
Do you think he'll be here in January?
What the players have said when he decided to rock up at Cardiff? Do you think
he'll be here in January?
Got feeling no, and I wouldn't be too averse if he wasn't, because he's burned his bridges as far as I'm concerned. You know, that was awful last day move. I mean, what was going on there? And I imagine a lot of the players won't be too enamoured by it either. Players that are willing to come and play and put on a shirt and want to play for us and want to get us out of this league. Kieran Scott the other night, he's determined to get us out of this league. You know, he wants to be here when we're in the Premier League, he said. So, you know, if he's thinking that, and many of the other players are thinking that, that's great. But if one isn't, then that formula ain't going to work. So I'd use Latte Laugh as an impact sub now, because that's probably where he deserves to be after that behaviour.
Yeah. Problem I've got with that is, if it was true and we rejected 20 million for him from Ipswich, if you start putting the lad on the bench and he's an impact sub, Steve Gibson won't be happy with that money disappearing in his valuation. So I think he won't end up being the impact sub. Funny enough, I think we'll still play him, because if there's anything going on behind the scenes, we'll want to get maximum value for him, and in January for our going to move him on. I mean, it was good money for him when you think we only paid, what was it, €3.5 million for him, or whatever it was. €5 million for him, £3.5 million.
Yeah.
So to get 20 million for him would have been fantastic business. But I can see why the club kept him. I mean, what sort of signal would that have sent out to the fans before the start of the season, selling your top scorer right as the deadline window closes? I can see why we kept him, and it was good ambition by Gibson to keep him. But let's hope he's not a bad egg in the dressing room, and he's going to get his head down and score some important goals for her.
Does he look
before January if he wants to move on?
Does he look a different player now compared to the last 15, 20 games last season?
I have to agree. Yes, he does. He does.
So,
yeah.
so
I
why?
think he does, yeah.
Why does he look different? Why is that? Is there something?
Yeah. Oh yeah. I can see you thinking, but like I said before, is that due to tinkering with the formation and moving the number 10 of Azaz, or is it down to his attitude? Because the one thing I'll say about Latte is he does seem to still put the hard yards in and work hard on the pitch. I don't see him standing around doing nothing. But I don't know what it is in terms of he's taking of his chances, the chances that have come at this season. He's sort of reverted back to the Latte at the start of last season, if that makes sense, where he's snatching the chances and not looking as natural in his finishing. So
that upsurge in form, how does that suddenly happen? It was like that, and then all of a sudden we've got a world class forward. You think, where's this come from? And now it seems to have gone back to the Latte that misses chances and just can't get his head right. If we were seeing a different Latte and the Latte that was so good back end of last season, then you'd be thinking, right, okay, well Conway's going to be on the bench, but I think he's not at the moment.
I think it'd be fair to him. He's not missed that many chances because we're not creating that many chances. I just think when you get to goal or two, you'll start seeing that big smile on his face. And I have no doubts that we'll have the striker that we had at the back end of last season, to be fair. I just think a couple of goals, everything will all be forgotten.
Fingers crossed. I really hope so.
Okay, we'll wrap it up. I'll just finish by saying my prediction, which is Middlesbrough will win 3-1 against Stoke City. Lat's going to score. So anyway, I'd just like to thank you, Graham. Thank you, John Cutler, for the first podcast, Typical Boro Podcast. Hope you've enjoyed it, guys.
Absolutely.
It was
Thanks for
great.
having-
Thank you.
Thanks
Pleasure.
for being on. Yeah,
I think
Thank
we've all agreed far too much. Like, we can't keep going on like this. Like,
it'll never last, John. It'll never last. Right, remember, people, please subscribe, please like, leave comments, please be a big help to it all. And remember, you don't need to see a Typical Boro anymore. You need to watch it. See you on Tuesday. Up the Boro.